Good morning, buongiorno, bonsoir. Welcome to Life's Questions and Lessons. I am your host, Charity Youngblood, and I am so excited and grateful that you are here with me today. This podcast is unedited because life is unedited. As always, we'll get started with a question and whatever activity you engage in to explore your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs, please feel free to do. So today's first question is, why can't I just let it be? Why can't I just let it be? So this question came to me today, actually. I am in the process of growing the podcast. So we are officially at episode 100. It is time to start, growing and thinking about, a lot of opportunities like grants and sponsorships and partnerships and all these types of things. So a big part of that is actually putting together the brand story. So I'm building the brand. I'm, filling out questionnaires of what the podcast is and, what I want it to be, et cetera, et cetera. And one thing that I, kind of struggled with, and to be honest, still do struggle with, is what category that I want the podcast to go under. I really do think of, everything that we talk about on the podcast, everything that I'm sharing, all the experiences as being more of a holistic approach. So it's not just one thing, it's everything. But I would say originally I was thinking the podcast would fall into the category of wellness because this really is, the space that makes the most sense, right? As far as categories go. But for some reason, that seemed a little bit vague. And so recently, as I was filling out one of the applications, I had to enter a sentence that said, the podcast was a tool. And I had to say, okay, well, what kind of tool? And I had wellness in there, but it just didn't seem quite right. And so I said, what you're doing and what you're teaching and what you stand for, all of the lessons, everything really boils down to self-reflection. That's what we're doing. That's really what we're doing. But for some reason, that just didn't sit with me. And as I started to explore this question for myself, I realized it was something where I felt like, well, self-reflection doesn't really sell, right? Self-reflection doesn't necessarily resonate. Like nobody gets excited about self-reflection. They get excited about wellness. They get excited about well-being, but no one's going to get excited about self-reflection. And so I really had to bring that to the podcast. If you've been with me for the whole time, I'm I'm as honest and real. This is me. And I struggle with all kinds of things and share the lessons that I have learned, throughout these struggles that will hopefully resonate with you, and you will be able to understand that there's nothing wrong with having challenges and struggles as long as you learn from them. And so as I was exploring this for myself, I was like, this is really a belief that you have somewhere. Like, what is wrong with the word self-reflection? Like, why is that something that you feel like won't resonate with the people you were meant to serve and meant to guide? That's really what we're doing. So if you don't think that it sounds exciting, too bad. Because the truth of the matter is, it is the most exciting thing ever. Like looking into yourself and looking into, the inner wisdom that is within you. There is nothing more exciting. There is no bigger adventure than getting to know who you are in every season of your life. So I really need to work on myself and understand that, not everything is going to sound like, apple pie, right? Like it's not going to be super delectable, but it's really all in the perspective, right? And really trying to shift some of those beliefs where I think, oh, well, people aren't going to resonate with that, or people aren't going to think of that in a good way. So as you're exploring this question for yourself, wherever it kind of resonates for you in your life. If you're not creating something right now on the side, if you're not, creating a business or creating anything, right? Think about any area, element of your life where you are really just not wanting to accept whatever it is, or you're telling yourself this story or this belief that is probably really not true. And give yourself the time to evaluate that. So another question would be, why do I think that this isn't important? Why do I think that people won't resonate with that? A lot of times this comes up with us women in particular sharing our stories. If we haven't had anything traumatic happen, if we had both parents in the house, if we had, a great education, if we weren't, we think about, oh, well, our lives are boring, or we don't have anything, interesting to share. That's a belief that I guarantee you is not true. No matter what your story is, everything that you have to share is important. Your experience in the way that you see the world is important. So I really challenge you to, take these questions and ask these questions in curiosity, as always, not judgment. And I know I say that on every episode. If you find yourself judging yourself, that's okay. Let judgment know, okay, you know what? Thanks for stopping by. We're going to go ahead and have curiosity sit down and stay for a minute, right? So let it pass through, acknowledge it, but really try to stay in curiosity. So as always, thank you so much for listening. Please rate and review this podcast wherever you're listening to my words. And if this episode was helpful for you, please share it. We are here on this planet to help each other. So if this was helpful for you, please share it. And until next time, take care.